Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to my podcast. Heather, say hi.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.
Where are you
Hello.
from? Go on, tell us that. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you're coming in from, all that cool stuff.
I live in the United States. I've been in Minnesota all my life. I live just east of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis-St. Paul area.
What do you do?
I help women over 40 with their whole life. That's whole life coaching. Um, been doing it since I met you.
Isn't it? We will get into all of this. What did you want to talk about? What did you hope to cover?
Um, I think my biggest heart is in women and the big miss that has happened in their lives, especially our parents, our grandparents, and even women today, and the confusion that they live in around their body, their mind, their energetics, their nervous system. There's a lot of information coming at them, and it's not sorted. So that's where I live. That's my day in and day out. That's what I do. So that's something that is, I think, very powerful and needs to be talked about.
Do you know what I think is interesting on these conversations that we've been having is like the realization that people come into the fitness industry and at some point, in fact, I had a conversation with someone today and he's just like saying loads of stuff on Instagram and in Messenger and just talking about he follows Luke. And he was like, "Oh, I think he's a fanboy of Luke." He was like, really
Who
likes.
isn't? Who
And I
is
was
not?
like, fair enough. And then he's just like, "This is what I want to do. I see Luke does all this extra stuff," and I think I don't know. Maybe we just live in a bubble where it's a journey that a lot of people go on, or is it that most people like share me? For me, like I just got a bit bored of being just in the gym. Like just, I loved the gym. I loved my clients. I loved doing it. I liked it when I was with, especially clients I liked. Some of them used to do my head in a bit, but like I really liked it. But I always found like it started to become a little bit samey, boring. And I don't know. I don't know if you think that's true. Is it just a bubble that we might have ended up living in where people just start to have all of this new stuff they want to cover and learn and if someone's listening to this, I guess implement with their clients, because even what you said there about like things like nervous system and that, when I was in the gym I'd have been like, I would have known what a nervous system is, but I wouldn't have known what the hell it had to do with me.
Yeah. Um, if I go back to my roots, right, came out of a big box gym after 21 years personal training. Um, and for me, it was, I think, a collision of my internal changes that were happening that I will speak a lot to women about now, and the fact I was bored. I was not being challenged. Um,
Do you think it's common?
I don't know. I'm older, right? Like I'm 51 right now. So I stayed in the gym a lot longer than so many people. I mean, a tipping point for me, and I tell this story, is Matt and I, my husband and I have friends, college friends. And when one of our college friends' son, who would be just a couple years older than our son, um, became a trainer at the same company, national company that I was working at. And it was that collision of things changing within me being there somewhere for 21 years, knowing that there was more for me to impact or to make a difference.
How did you know that? Did you know that, or was it?
Oh, I've always wanted to run my own business. Like when you would talk to me when I was in high school, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, wear a power suit and carry an attache case, and I was gonna run some company someday. And the fitness world was just a pure love. I came into it through teaching group fitness, aerobics classes in college, to make some extra money. And I had a a young woman that I really looked up to, who I danced with in high school, like competitive dance, tap, jazz, ballet, lyrical, that kind of stuff, who was a group fitness aerobics instructor at our college. And I just loved her, right? And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to do what she's doing. And I found it super delicious. Like I really liked it. I liked being in front of people. I liked the human body. I liked fitness.
Are you good at it, Heather?
I was good at it, right? Like it wasn't hard. I can hear a beat, you got to be able to hear a beat and cue people at the same time and make it fun and entertaining. And oh my gosh, put a mic on me, like look out. Like I can talk, but other people can't I can't hear them, in a spin studio or something. Anyway, that's where my fitness thing started. And in college, I ended up switching majors, actually double majoring, just so I could get my exercise science degree in with my business and my communication degree that I was already, going after. Long story longer, I'm in the gym for a bunch of years and had been in management, had been personal training. And then once I got pregnant with Jacob, I went back. Well, I had Jacob, and then I went back out of management into just on the fitness floor because it was easy. I could show up in my... Huh?
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I'd already been with the company. He was born in 2005. I started in 1998. I'd already been with the company a handful of years. And for me, it allowed me to be a mom, but run my own schedule. So it was like this solopreneuring type thing, but in a contained box where you had all the best equipment and you had all the clients basically in front of you as members, just like, you've talked about this, where it was like, they all came into that building to get what I could help them with. I mean, it's totally different than, it's kind of similar to, our phones where it's like, everybody's here, but they're not all, captive audiences. And so I wouldn't say personal training is easy. I think personal training is very difficult, especially if you're in an environment where it's 100% commission, which is where I was. And you need to be able to know people, know the human body, and you got to sell, right? You got to, and then there's some admin, which to this day I'm not fabulous at, but it's a tough gig, and a lot of people burn out, or they don't make it, or they don't make enough money doing it to make it a lifestyle or profession. And that just wasn't my story. I was able to do it as a profession and did it that way for a number of years, and it worked great because I could roll in my already pre-decided outfit, right? My black, I called it my black pajamas, right? We had a uniform, but it was like wear fitness pants and a jacket that's a personal trainer on the back. And inspire, help, heal, connect with people. And I'm just a lover of people, and so for me it was right in my lane. Fast forward a few years, kids are older, everybody's in school, and now I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for so long, and I'm not being challenged, but I'm in a box. And I'm building somebody else's dream was what was happening to me. And I don't know if it was...
When did you realize that?
I was like, age-wise, I was like 40 something. So it is kind of more of that midlife crisis. And now looking back, I can tell you it also had to do with perimenopause and things that were changing in me. Your marriage is different. Your kids are older. There was this place where I had a whole conversation with myself at one point as to say, why did I do this? Why did I wait till 2019 to leave the big box? Why didn't I do it in 2010? Right? When you and I met, I was like, God, this guy's been doing this for a while. Why wasn't I doing this? Because everything you're talking about totally makes sense to me. Why didn't I just do this before? And when
why do you think that I had and you didn't?
When I look back at it, it had a lot to do with the flexibility of me being able to run my own show, to not add another stressor onto my momming, wifing, business world. And I think that it just wasn't my time yet. In the sense of not like, oh, my time out in the world, literally my time with my family. Because before that...
I'll interject. Like, I'll think that part of the reason is just there wasn't a massive downside. Like for me, I was a little bit older because I kind of got into personal training a bit older than some people, but I didn't have many responsibilities. Like I needed to pay my rent. Okay, I lived in London, but I didn't have kids. I didn't have a mortgage. I just didn't have that much going on. And like you, I always felt mine was slightly different. You paid a rent to the gym, which at the time was I think maybe like £900, so maybe $1,300 your money. Which for some people they're like, oh my god, I see it in the Facebook groups. They're like, oh my god, they're gonna take $1,000 or whatever it is off me. And I was nice. I just remember being like, what? So I just pay you. I didn't like it. I was like, I just pay you 900 quid and then I can just be here. I didn't say this to anyone, but like when I first got my gym role, little caveat, I went into the gym that I used to train in because I was working in an area in London which wasn't as nice, and I sort of started to realise pretty early on, I was like, there's some people that here that have got a bit of money, but there's a lot of people that don't. I was like, why am I in this gym? Like there's like 30 and 50 in London, whatever it was, Fitness First. I was just like, why aren't I in the gym where all the rich people are? Like, just go there. And I ended up going and working in like our version of of Wall Street, of the city. And I got a job. He gave me a job, and then I turned up on the Monday morning, like whenever it was, 3 weeks later, and the fitness manager had been sacked. And I was just like, all right, well, what's happening? And the manager the manager of the whole thing was just like, right, we still want you to start, but just bear with us a bit. It's like, all right, fair enough. And there was no fitness manager for, I think, at least the first 6 months. They kept apologising to me, and I was just like, by the way, I'd been doing in the other gym for maybe a year or so, and I was like, you know what? I don't care. I don't want anything. I don't want your things that you're going to tell me you're going to do. I don't have any expectations. I don't expect you to get me clients. I don't expect you to do anything for me. In fact, I was just happy that I didn't have anyone in my face. And I'd give them 900 quid, and I worked out that by lunchtime on Monday, I had paid my weekly rent.
Yeah.
And the rest was just all money. And I was just like, well, hey, like, I was just like, this is good. Like, I thought it was a really good deal. And I know a lot of people didn't. Although I would say, I agree with you, we had a lot of people used to come in and they were like, they were gone within 2 days. Or you could tell they were gone mentally. It was just like, they looked nervous. They wouldn't come back after a week. Like, that was it. So for me, it was like, there was just I had no responsibilities. I had no worries. I need to do this carefully. I was sort of quasi already running my own business at that point. Just like, why not? Why don't I try? And I think it might have been like, I think there's a lot more people that are a bit older. It's not just as easy as it was like then for me. Like, it was just easy. I went online, but like, for instance, Phil just was like, just jack it off, and went and lived in Thailand.
Right.
I have to earn that much money to do that. So I think that's probably part of it, like why I did it and why other people didn't.
Yeah. For me,
and I was a bit of a risk taker.
Same, right? Take the leap, learn to fly on the way down. Like, that's literally what I did with my business. So I had this storm of, I wasn't feeling like I was able to help people like I wanted to. It felt like the same cog, reps, sets, macros, like, and they were coming to me, and because I'm someone who loves deep conversations, who wants to understand, who wants to truly help her or him at the time, right? I'm pretty much only women now, but it wasn't the right setting. People kept coming in and only wanting to lift weights or only wanting to come to a class, and I was like, that's not your issue. Your issue is not, your food is decent, your workouts are fine, it's this other stuff that's happening. And I recognized that, and I tried and like infuse that into my personal training and make it a thing there, but it's not the model, and it's not what they wanted to focus on, which I don't blame them, because why would you change the model when it's significantly working? And that got me thinking, what am I doing? And I did look at other fitness companies. I did look at other places to maybe move up in management, because I had been climbing the corporate ladder early on. Before I had kids, I was already in management. I was looking for a regional.
Could you have got management jobs, do you think, and like a career?
Did what?
Could you have got management jobs, just stayed in, becoming a manager and work for someone?
That was the thing that turned the key for me a little bit, was when I had pulled away and just become, don't ever think that, personal trainers, because you guys are the like feet on the street, but when I had stepped out of management and was just training for a handful of years, like 10, when I wanted to re-engage, they were like, who are you? They didn't know. Like, they were like you said, the club personal training department head is gone. Right, your guy left, and now the club manager is like, people were leaving above. And so when I'm an old dog that knows everything about this company for the last almost 15, 20 years, and is a huge asset, they weren't even knowing who I was, because I had just been a personal trainer for so long. So when I was reaching up to contacts that I had and said, hey, I'm in a different place now, I had turned down leadership and management roles, or invitations to those roles, for years because I didn't want to have to drive 45 minutes when I had young kids or whatever it was. And then when I finally got to a place with my family and my demands on the other side of my, job, life balance, this became lighter with the kids. And now I was ready to dive in a little bit more. And I'd already invested blood, sweat, and tears. I liked that company. Like, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I get it. But they were like, okay, well, you need to change clubs and prove yourself somewhere else in an assistant role or in a whatever role, a leader, team lead role or whatever. And I was thinking, I already did the management thing, but it had been too many years and things had changed. The company has changed. We all are evolving. We have to evolve. So anyway, that's all boring. But I had just had this innate heart inside me of, I have more of an impact possibility here and it's not here. And now I feel bored and I feel that I'm stifled. It's a huge national, maybe international now because I think we're in Canada, company, right? But it's in one community, in one box. And in order to work with me, you had to be a member of this box. It's just like what you were experiencing back in that day. And so I had already decided that I was going to go, I was going to leave at the end of 2019, and I was going to start my own business. And I was all excited about January 1st of 2020, starting my little business.
It can happen that we might remember.
So I left, and I remember I had a client, you know how our clients help us, right? I had a client, he is still to this day.
Just so I'm clear, had you left the job, the business, the company before COVID, or how did that all, what was that?
So I left, I had put my notice in December so I could finish the year out. I re-nested all my clients as a good employee who's leaving to do something else, right? Because I had a non-compete and I was being very careful because at that time non-competes would be like.
And you guys like suing each other, don't you?
Yeah, it's kind of aggressive, but.
No, it's not like that in England.
Oh, well, isn't that nice?
We just don't sue, not quite as much as you guys are. But do you know also that you say there that I finished my degree? You know, in England, we don't do degrees to become personal trainers.
It's just a certification, not just a certification, but there isn't that doesn't matter or what?
In America, could you become a personal trainer without doing a degree?
Yes. At the company that I work for, the rule was, I think it's still the same to this day. So in 1998, the rule was you had to have a 4-year degree in something exercise, health, or fitness. It couldn't be accounting, right? But you had to have a 4-year degree or a national certification, and they accepted NASM, ACE.
And how long would that take? And the NASM, how long would that take?
Well, you'd pay money, right? And then you'd study and you'd take a test. So if you were really brilliant, you could take the test tomorrow and pass and have a cert, right? Like, ACE is a little bit different than NASM or CSCS or some of those other certifications. But
the other people that I've spoken to that have done like actual degrees in exercise science, and I'm sitting there and I wonder, you know what, in England you can, like I did, I think I got conned a bit. No, I didn't get conned a bit, but I was on the phone to them and I was like, right, I'm not sure which version I'm going to do because the thing I did was 12 weeks full time. So 12 weeks, 9 to 5. Now, for context, that is a lot. That's probably the best at the time in the industry. And it was certainly the most comprehensive in time. And I was like, okay, which bit do I need? And I said, look, I for some reason I wanted the diploma, the name of it. And if I'd just done the personal trainer bit, it would have been, I think it would have been about 3K. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And they were like, oh, no, you definitely need the diploma bit. And all that means is just paying them another 1,500. So I ended up doing the whole thing. I did massage. It's like, I hated it.
You did? I did not know that about you.
My God, I was like, I don't want to like massage some old man who's all hairy and shit like that. I don't know. And
now you're that guy. You're the old hairy guy now.
I'm not hairy, by the way, and thanks for the art. No, I didn't get conned, but in the end I didn't need to do that.
Right.
But loads of people, even at the time, and it's even now, you can do like part-time degrees over 6 weeks that you never actually see anyone, and you're qualified as a personal trainer in this country.
That still is the case. Yeah, you can do that here too.
You can. It just seems like most people don't get into the industry that way.
No, because it kind of is, I don't know, maybe that's just my lens and where I came from, but you really weren't at, you needed to have a little bit higher level at the place that I chose to
Yeah, I just like
work
that.
at.
It always like hit me when I speak to people. Like you guys seem to take it like a little bit more serious. Maybe I don't know.
Mhm.
I did a comprehensive one. Cost me £4,000, which at the time other people I think there was versions you could do for like $1,000. Like it really
Yeah,
wasn't.
I came out of college for tens of thousands of dollars, right? A 4-year degree. But at my senior year, I specifically remember my advisor saying, you really should take this ACE certification test. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, it's an industry cert that gives you some street cred that beyond just your 4-year degree. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's about $350. It's something separate. It has nothing to do with this university, right? But you go and do that, and so you have it. Well, how my whole thing rolled out is I ended up getting a job at a company using my business and communication degree, and wasn't in fitness initially. And so I was like, I am not going to spend $350 I don't even own, that I don't even have at this point as a senior in college, to take a test when I'm not even going to use it. And then 9 months later, as I'm crying, driving to my corporate job that I hated and wasn't a great alignment for me, and I was just miserable. And again, did this thing where I left this salaried position that was considered great for women advancement. And, why would you leave a salaried position when you're leasing a car and you're in an apartment in the metro area? Heather, what are you doing? To be a personal trainer and work 100% commission. And I was like, because I hate this, and it has, I'm destroying myself in the meantime, because I hate every bit of it, which sounds aggressive. I mean, it just wasn't for me. Everybody goes through that when you come out of college jobs. I'm like, it was so terrible. It's not that terrible. It was just, I didn't like it. Like, I literally didn't like it. And I was really interested in fitness. And so a really great friend of mine reintroduced me or connected me to somebody that I had known in like elementary school. And he and I had a conversation. He worked that company. I said, I just need an informational interview. Like, what do you got to do to be you? And then it turned into a job offer that, like, literally that week. And then I started personal training. I remember specifically my parents being like, my mom was, ooh, oh my gosh, are you sure? Right? I'm leaving this very clear path, this very clear paycheck to work 100% commission. Doing what? You're going to be a personal trainer? What is that? Like, you have to remember, this is 1998, right? Like people, like personal trainers as a
I don't
profession.
even know if it existed in England. Like sometimes I like
No,
when I
totally
see
new.
American personal trainers. I'm like, I don't even think it existed.
No, right.
And
And so,
tell me, take me back to COVID. Sorry, I
yeah,
interjected.
we got so distracted with that. Okay, so I leave the gym at the end of 2019 because I'm starting this business. I'd spent the last 6 months kind of developing it. I knew what my plan was. But my mentor, who was the only person besides my husband and my parents that knew that I was leaving, because you can't, as a personal trainer, and somebody well-known in the community, right, who's been in this gym for over 15 years, 21 with the company, you can't say you're leaving. So I kept it under tight wraps. I knew at the end of 2019 I was leaving, but I couldn't tell anybody. But my one client knew, and he was kind of asking me things. And to your funny point about taking the leap is, he said to me once, he goes, so you have 6 months of income banked up, so when you start this business, you can live a little bit, because it's going to take a second to kind of get some traction, right? And I was like, no, I don't have 6 months of money saved up. I have 3 kids and a dog and a house, and what? I wasn't getting paid that good back at the club, right? Like, we were kind of living paycheck to paycheck. And he's like, huh, okay. He's like, so you have 3 months, right? And I said, no, like, I need to make money January 1. Like, the business starts and we're going. He's like, oh my gosh, we are bootstrapping this. And I said, yes. Like, what do you mean? Like, I just knew it was going to work. I just knew that I was going to help people, and I was just going for it. And I was so excited because I had looked at other things, and we had actually, my husband and I had looked at like literally buying a small boutique little gym space where they would rotate in 4 women at a time. They would do 30 minutes with some trainer, and then they'd do like, it was this cute little concept that I was like, this would be a piece of cake. I could totally run this. And it came down between us and another investor, and they chose the other people. And that was totally I was crushed, one, because I was initially, before the end of the year, I was thinking about doing that. This is like back at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. So like in April of 2019, I thought I had a way out of this situation to go build my own little club, and I was not picked. Heather Meek doesn't get picked. Like, what? I kind of am the one that gets picked for the kickball team. Like, I hadn't experienced that very much, where I wasn't chosen to be the one, and it had to do with our finances, because they did not need seller financing and I did. And so of course they took that deal. Well, thank God. As painful as it was two things. It was, I didn't own a small boutique gym, which in a year later, I sure as shit didn't want to have.
That would not have been good.
No. And number two, it literally was a God nudge, where it was just like, Heather, stop screwing around on everybody else's dream. Just go build your own. And so that gave me some clarity.
Though, right?
It what?
It takes either a lot of courage or a lot of silliness.
Balls. I mean,
it's stupid, but it's like,
yeah,
a bit of both.
Yeah. And I like that edge of my personality. Like, I like when she comes out, because she's kind of fierce and ferocious and fabulous. But we just did it. Like, I just was like, okay, this is the plan, and I'm going to go do this. And then literally, so I started, and it was like, people don't even know what this is. This is 2020, January, and I'm going to online life, fitness, and longevity coaching. What is that? It feels like, what is a personal trainer professionally back in 1998? Like, people, why would you go online? What are you doing? And I'm like, because I want to coach the world. I want to coach the US. I want to coach the whole state. Like, anyway. And so I started with online, personal training initially, introducing some, I call them my ride or diers. You and I have talked about this. Clients, who came with me, and I was like, okay, Tim, pick up the band. Yep, stand on the band, do your bicep curl. I was doing some of that. I was also...
That was pre-COVID even.
But right before, because I didn't have any money, I didn't have any income, I didn't have any coaching clients, right? And then I had some people that followed me, and then I had some people that got started with me, because I had just started posting saying, hey, I'm coaching, and I'm going to coach you on your fitness and these other aspects of your life that are actually your bottlenecks, that are actually your problem, and getting to the root issue of them. And so I did have a couple, like, coaching clients, like, proper. Then you and I got connected because my platform that I use is PT Distinction. So we can all thank Ash and the crew for, I think, just the Facebook algorithm.
PT Distinction isn't actually owned by Ash.
I know. Ash and I had a whole conversation about this one day, and he was like, well, and I thought you were part of PT Distinction too in our first conversation. And you're like, and you stunned me. Like, we were on a call like this, initially like in a sales call, and you were like, I don't really do anything with PT. Like, I'm not part of PT Distinction.
Did you have a sales call with me?
Oh yeah.
And did you have a triage?
I did one-on-one coaching with you, Tim. I was like very beginning of time.
I was just wondering, like, whether you had this triage call and sales call with me, or whether it was with someone else.
It was only you. There wasn't anybody else then. There was only you and Tim, or you and Phil.
Okay, all right, there you go. That was early doors. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so end of April of 2020. So I started talking to you because I saw you on this is the story. I saw you on Facebook scrolling along. Here's this dude talking as he's walking in some fabulous warm place, and I'm in Minnesota. And you're saying things, as you've heard a million times, I've told this story before, where I was like, yes, what? Yes. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, like, I just instantly felt, what?
Can you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was, it's not about their fitness. It's about, changing their identity. It's about helping them transform. It's about getting to the root of what's holding them back. Like, it was all of that. And you were saying, hey, I help people with this, right? Like, I help you who are already knowing about their body, and that's not their problem. Your clients need something that is going to help them become who they actually want to become. And it's not going to be only reps, sets, and macros. And I was like, How do I talk to you? Like, what's the story?
Sometimes Emma, my social media pops up, and I'm like, there's me walking around Malta, and I'm
Yeah.
like, God, we used to be able to get away with like absolute rubbish on. It's like some of the
It's not
videos.
rubbish, but I know it. I don't know.
Some of the videos are so bad. Some of the sound, and there's just me like the picture's not clear, and I was like, oh my God! And people used to be like interested in that. Now it's obviously you have to put a bit more effort into it,
Yeah,
but
you can't have the street walking sounds. You gotta go in and
isn't it?
only it. Yeah.
You know, Sarah Hawksworth's in Malta at the moment. She's in my bit. Like she's been there for a
Who
few
is?
months. Sarah Hawksworth.
Oh, I love Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
She's swimming in Spinola Bay and Baluta Bay, and
Let's go. I'm ready to go.
of my ends. And did you book in the end for, or were you going to come to the retreat that we had organised?
We
Do you know what,
talked.
that's one of the regrets that you know
Same.
that would have been really good. I know, like Joel, for instance, had actually booked his flights,
I
and we
know
did
you have.
like we did other things than that, even the office day, which was quite fun.
Yep.
But
I was there.
it wasn't the same as that. That would have been so much fun.
I had such FOMO on the office day because I'm on
The
a
office day
computer
was good, but
screen.
it was still a little bit like contained because of everything that was going on, and it's obviously London. I know to you that would be awesome, but that's I think that would have been so fantastic if that had actually happened in Malta.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I was having FOMO about just being able to sit at a circle table with the people, just being able to be with
Have you
everybody.
met anyone from? No, not one person.
No.
Wow.
Allie and I never ever ended up meeting, right? Like in person. You know, Kristen isn't far away from me. Minnesota, Michigan are not that far, right? Texas is not that far, I think. Or no, Amanda's not in Texas anymore. But
Wow.
anyway, right? Like, no, there's people in the US. Joel, no,
That's quite far away, though, right?
not further than Texas. I mean, it's about the same.
So tell me about your experience of the clients you were working with. Like, so fast forward a bit, and you were, I don't know, you were working with clients online, and I guess a little bit at the beginning was a bit. Everyone's always a little bit like, oh God, I don't know what I don't know what I'm doing, because we obviously are very professional and we always know exactly what we're doing, but we're
Yeah.
also kind of making it up a little bit, even with the first. Like, what was like? How did they react? How did your clients find things?
In the beginning or now?
Oh, well, both.
Um,
Talk to me about clients now. I guess like what's
I'll,
different
I'll
about.
do I'll do both. Yeah. In the beginning, let's just say the beginning after that initial like couple months and the world shuts down in March for us. Like St. Patrick's Day literally was when clubs shut down and everything went quiet. So that's February. We started together, right? I literally signed on with you guys at the end of April. So May, June, July, August, September, October were my first 6 months of 2020, which is such a blur, right? Because I think COVID in not COVID, right? But that time period ended up professionally and business wise being a huge help for me. Like I was already online. I already had the systems built. And your thing, right? The blueprint, the stuff that you were teaching us, it was boom. As soon as that was uploaded, it was even better. Like all of a sudden I had structured everything. I had the thing that you promised me, which was life-changing, by the way, was I was coming out exhausted. Working 5:15 on the fitness floor. My husband would launch our kids in the morning, right? I wasn't getting to braid hair. I wasn't saying have a great day. I wasn't giving hugs in the morning because I was already on the fitness floor being amazing. I would race home to try and beat the bus to get home to land the kids after school. Exhausted, right? Evening stuff. As a mother, you people out there know that it's literally a whole second full job, right? Like it's not like, oh, I come home and I'm gonna kick my feet up and then I'm gonna go maybe take a walk and, grab some food, grill some food, and then I'm gonna do some research for my clients, and then I'm gonna watch a show and go to bed. None of that is happening, right? Like it's 100 miles an hour and it's all for them. So I was coming into coaching exhausted and running a business completely depleted and fearful of like, ooh, what do I got to do to be able to make some money at this and feel like this was a really good decision for me. Those were the fear things that we're talking. And you said to me, you said, I'm going to help you spend less time and make more money.
I said that on a sales call, or just generally.
I don't remember if it was on a sales call, but you had said that more than one time because I was resistant. I'm like, Tim, you're like, there was always some yeah, but with me. But you were just like, this is what we're going to do. And you're going to end up doing less, not like for your people, but like admin wise. You were protecting my nervous system and my energetics without maybe even having the language or knowing about this piece of it. And it literally scooped me up and held me in this little nest where I was like, okay, right? Like I didn't have another option. I could either stay exhausted, depleted, and dysregulated and try to do this like a man, or I could sit in and take a breath and say, okay, let's do it. And you proved it to me. And you proved it to me by July. So I crossed the threshold we were May, June, July, in the third month, where I was producing income-wise the same amount of money that I had been pumping out at the club every single month for them. And to me, that was a big thing. And so, and I wasn't wrecked, is the other part of the story. And so for me, that was such an eye-opening, refreshing space to be in, that I could build a business and not feel like my insides were on fire all the time, energetically.
Who was about at the time?
What?
Who was about at the time? Because that's quite early on, right?
Yeah, so you want to know names of who was with us?
Yeah, who was, when you bowled in, who was about?
Allie came in right after me, like a week or two after me.
Okay.
Before me.
Jack then?
Jack was there.
Mike must have been.
He was.
They'd been in there.
Mike. Yep. He was. Yeah, totally. Mike was there. Who were our foundational people? I mean, we were together forever.
Joel would have been.
Joel was there late, a little bit later. Steph. Yeah.
I put you on the spot, didn't I? But we'll come back with some names.
Yeah, Kristen came in later when I was in level 2. Amanda came in later when I was in level 2.
What do you think? What do you think you're like the difference with your clients and like, and I guess leading into now as well with what you're doing? Like, what do you think the difference for them was? Obviously, it's different when they're just coming and training with you in the gym, but like, what's the difference between what you see that those clients used to get and the kind of work you do now? Obviously, it's chalk and cheese. I know that, but like, if I was a lay person,
just for everybody, us Americans, I had to ask Tim the other day. I'm like, what does chalk and cheese mean? I'm like, what is this? This is the running joke from all my years with you guys, where you guys would say things, and I was like, I would message Allie and say, what does that mean? So anyway, got it. Chalk and cheese. Everybody is like black and white. Okay. I think the biggest thing is that I'm going to talk as far as women, because I coach women now pretty much exclusively. I wouldn't say no to some of my old, ride or die or guys that wanted to come back and coach with me, but essentially my specialty is women over 40. So 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I did have an 80-year-old client. Typically my older clients, my 70 and 80-year-olds, are more of the fitnessy stuff and a little bit of the coaching. But everybody 40, 50s, 60s, early 70s, we do straight up coaching, which includes, in my world, their workouts. So their fitness is included. I'm writing programs for all my clients. I am helping them with their food, but I'm also helping them with their relationships, with their businesses, with their energetics, their nervous system, their total health. And a big piece of what I do is I help bridge that space between what they need from maybe a practitioner, like a functional medicine practitioner or their medical practitioner, because women's bodies need support literally from like 35, 38, 40 years old, whenever perimenopause starts for that individual woman, you know, every single person, man or woman, on this, watching this or in the world, has a mom, has a spouse, has a sister, has somebody in their life that is being affected by this, and not one woman ever gets out of life without it, without going through this perimenopause, postmenopause transition. I hate the sound of that, but whether it's medically instantly put into it with a hysterectomy or a cancer diagnosis or something like that, or if you just walk through it naturally. And so when I work with women, what I noticed in the gym and hadn't fully maybe conceptualized and put into like graphics and analogies and things that I use with my clients now, because I'm really good at taking the complexity things that are happening in your body and helping the woman understand it, because she doesn't have to be an expert in this. This is what I do. She just wants help. She doesn't freaking feel good. And what I mean by doesn't feel good, she's not sleeping. She's waking up at 2 a.m.
So your post, what happens if you wake up at 2 a.m?
Yeah, it's a problem. And it's not, oh, let's just go to bed earlier. Like, you have to get to the base of it. Like, is it her blood sugar?
Culturally, I don't know. I sometimes have to sort of realize that there is a saying about something about English and Americans being separated by a common language or something like that. I don't know. And sometimes your country's a little bit crazier than ours. And I'm like, is this just in England, or are things progressing quickly or different in America? Like, do you think that there was a case in the UK where a company got taken to court because the woman got unfair dismissal because basically the bloke who owned the company just mocked her when she talked about menopause and then sacked her, and then he got prosecuted for unfair dismissal. And he was basically like, it was proven that he was just saying this. I mean, I guess you would probably say it's misogynistic, first of all, but really ill-informed, uninformed. But it's like, I don't know, I'm not in any way defending him, clearly, but it's like, he doesn't know shit about that. Like, what does he know? He's like, just like, his perspective would be just like, just get over it. One thing that I remember Ali said to me, and we were having a conversation once, and it's not like I don't know these things. She said something about, it wasn't exactly in that sphere of menopause. She's like, a man will never know what it's like to really live in the world as a woman. And I was like, I don't know why when she said that, I was like, I've never really thought about it like that. Like, we were talking about other things, like maybe being out at night on your own. She's like, a man will just never know that. They'll never know what it feels like to, and I'm like, yeah, it made me think in a very different way. And I guess most men just don't really know anything about this. And to be honest, I don't think most women were informed. Now in the UK, I think they're bringing in legislation that companies have to provide menopause advice, education, training. So in the UK, there's this burgeoning, I guess, pots of money, first of all, because companies they can't just decide. A lot of good companies will do this, but they're going to have to be spending this money and offering training. I don't know, is that the same theme in America, or did it start earlier, or?
It's not similar to that, like with this like surge of we need education from a corporate standpoint, and maybe that court case was a instigator of that for you guys. There is for sure a wave of information, and it's an Instagram hot topic. It's
but nothing's, I mean, I'm assuming medically it's not, unless we could sit there and say more women are going through menopause earlier. I don't know, maybe that could be true, I don't know. But is it just more now actually people are talking about it and people are putting information out there?
Yeah, it's twofold. One, it has to do with the study back in 2002, 2001 that was, we had, for example, if we're talking about perimenopause and helping women, supporting women on the inside, right? We can do behavior change things, we can do workouts, we can change things like that. But nobody was looking at, like, the fitness industry has traditionally, and it's changing and it's so good, but it's really traditionally been, this is the science that was pretty much done on men, and then we are just going to adapt it because women are smaller men, right? Like what, right? And that's the huge like trajectory miss. Okay, so then we did have in the 90s hormone therapy, right? So you're going through perimenopause, which means my hormones, your loved woman in your life hormones are between, and it starts between 35 and can go as long as whenever they stop having a menstrual cycle. So what people thought was happening in their late 40s, 50s is like, no, there are people that literally start perimenopausal symptoms, and there's like 60 symptoms that are happening in their late 30s. And so if I look back and connect some dots, I for sure was in perimenopause by about age 44. I left and started my own company 6 years ago. So it's right around that, like, oh my gosh, what's happening time. But it was because I didn't feel good either. Like I didn't want to do the 5 damn a.m. anymore. I didn't want to put a mask on. You and I talked about this a ton. Like I would have to put on the mask. You know, you pull into the parking lot and you got to put on the mask and you got to be this girl. You got to be the trainer. You got to come in. You can't come in and be like, oh my gosh, my head is effing killing me. I need some more coffee. You guys start your reps. You know, like you put on a show for 8, 9, 10 hours.
I was going to make a joke about Phil there, but then I decided
Why? What was the Phil joke?
I'm doing a video at the moment, and I'm like, come on, Phil, wake up on the recording. I'm like, wake up, come on, be a bit excited about this one.
Oh, because he's so like stoic and.
Isn't he? Exactly.
Oh, he's so serious when you listen to him. You're like, anyway, and so women had support back in the 90s. They were doing hormone therapy because our hormones are spurting. Sometimes they actually flow out and sometimes they don't do anything. And they're in this really confused, chaotic space. It's like a roller coaster. So add that on to the fact that you and I both know that throughout the month, women change anyway, right? And now on top of that, put hormone fluctuations that don't line up with your cycle necessarily. They're just chaotic. And we don't know what's happening. And so women are, you hear hot flashes. I've never really had that's not true. I've had a couple, but hot flashes were not my thing. Brain fog, fatigue, right? There's all these other things that make you feel crazy. Like, why can't I remember shit? Why can't I sit and do my numbers without wanting to just implode, right? So there's a space where we had hormone therapy. And then this study came out and it freaked the shit out of everybody because it said hormone therapy causes breast cancer, hormone therapy causes blood clots, hormone therapy is dangerous. And women stopped taking their stuff, canceled their prescriptions, doctors stopped prescribing it. And that happened from like 2001, 2002, I can't remember exactly when that study was, until literally a year ago, right? Like just back in October, I think it was, of 2025, which isn't even a year now, it's a couple months, they took the black box warning off. And so, in the United States. And so doctors now, our practitioners, are back saying, okay, hey, maybe this isn't, because they found that the study was flawed. So that whole thing, one physician explained it like, they opened Pandora's box, so they let the cat out of the bag in the sense they said this, but then they couldn't pull it back around. It's almost like somebody says, oh my gosh, there's this sex scandal, but then nobody can see, that celebrity or that person of influence ever the same again. It's kind of like that Coldplay couple. Like, I could give two craps about that guy and his affair that he was having, right? But now we are all sucked into that whole thing for the rest of our lives, and those people are going to be dealing with that forever. Like, you can't rein it back in, and it took decades for us to get back to, oh, hormone therapy isn't hurting the woman. It's not going to cause breast cancer. It doesn't bioidentical hormone therapy does not cause blood clots or, these scary things that we got off of it. And these women for decades, which is your mom for sure, maybe even your grandma, because she probably didn't have it because it came, later, when she was probably older, just suffered. Like, literally had to deal with the brain fog. And so, anyway, the long story longer is that women are coming to me initially saying, I don't know what's going on. My body is not, I'm trying to do all the right things. And normally, like from a fitness standpoint, they're pretty
physical
good.
stuff as well then, I'm assuming. I mean, I'm assuming
So
that is also one of the reasons people notice that there's things are different.
that's my gateway pretty much for most of my women. One, they know I come from a fitness background, but two, they're putting weight on and it doesn't come off. They're eating not like a lunatic, right? Because I'm not going to be the person that's going to put you on the bodybuilding stage. Like I'm not that coach. I'm not the one that's going to get you so lean and so ripped that you're going to be able to stand on stage and win any kind of award, right? But I don't work with people that want to do that. I work with women who just don't want to have their pants effing feel tight, or they don't want to avoid the mirror or the camera, or they want to be able to move and their joints hurt, and they are so successful, right? They're like rocking it at work. They're exceptional parents. They're volunteering. They're doing all the things that we as women are typically excited to be doing out in the world, but their body is completely wackadoo and they don't know why. And they are, eating very few calories and trying to get their protein in, and they're going to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, and it is not changing. Like their body is either not changing or it's putting weight on incrementally. And I've lived it. You and I have walked through that. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like I don't feel good in my own skin, and the weight is coming on and on, like 40 pounds on. And I'm a fitness pro. This is what I do for a living. And I was like, what the hell's happening? And it's not from knowledge. And so we have to peel the onion layer back, and we have to put all these things in and then help her sort it out so that she can implement or infuse it in her life. So she does need hormone help, typically. She doesn't have to. Like if you work with me, you don't have to have hormone help, but we're going to look at it. You're for sure going to get your blood drawn, not by me, but by our care team that we're going to put together for you and find a trusted person who's going to legitimately listen to you. Because the other huge thing that maybe men don't know, but women go to doctors all the time and are told your labs look fine. As she's got extra 30 pounds on her body, she's crying, she can't remember shit, she's her hair's falling out, her vagina's dry, she has zero sex drive. Like it's not her fault, it's not her doing. It's literally chemically happening on the inside, and she's just trying to figure it out because she's trying to live her life along the way. And so that's what I help women figure out, is I hear and I know that all those things are factors, and then I simplify it, explain it, and I pick out the biggest levers. So what lever do we need to pull, or what dial do we need to tweak so that you can still live this very busy and blessed life that you run? Because that's the other biggest problem for women, I feel, and I maybe don't want to speak for all women, but we're damn busy. And we don't kind of want to, we don't want to be slow, cool, laid back, whatever. It feels weird for us. And that is also a nervous system thing that we have to.
Talk to me about the nervous system stuff, because I'm quite big into it. I don't know if it's a normie thing, and normies are interested in this. Like,
what's normie? What is normal people? What?
A normie. You don't know what a normie is?
Like a normal person, like a average Joe.
Normie is just a normie. People that are just normies.
Keep saying the word, but you're not changing.
Google it afterwards. But yes, normal people.
Where's my
normie shorthand for just a constellation of different characteristics of a person. But a normie, a normal person, your lay person, probably doesn't really. I got into sort of, and you can tell me if I'm in the right area. Like I got into nervous system stuff mostly through initially like coaching, counselling, and that, and then sort of like books like Body Knows the Score, this kind of stuff. And as much for I had some coaches as well, not coaches, counsellors or therapists who were into like body-based therapy. And I went to a few. The first one I worked with consciously, because I was like, I've done a lot of talk therapy. I want to go and actually work with someone who does this this body-based therapy, but it was more like a trauma release sort of type thing, as opposed to necessarily something that we do with like people that aren't going at it from that avenue. So I've seen a few people talk about it as well, in people that have developed their skills, I guess, from being personal trainers. I think there's at least two that might have been talking about it a bit as well, that were in the programs at one point or another, and I'm sure there's probably others. They just seem to be the ones that talk about it more. And you, like, tell me about it. Like, what is it? Why is this important for these clients? Like, how did you get into it?
The one line I can tell you is that when you are dysregulated, so when you are in the sympathetic nervous system versus, fight, flight, freeze, versus the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest, digest, right? So just a little definition.
And menopause causes that.
To finish my sentence, I'm going to answer that. When you are in the when you're in the sympathetic nervous system, you will not lose body fat. So in perimenopause and then into menopause, so menopause, the average age in the United States is like 51, 52 years old, right? And then you move into menopause, which just means your hormones really are not doing anything anymore, or not hormones, your body's not pumping out its own hormones anymore. You become more sensitive. So the analogy I give, it's not one of my favorite analogies, but it's decent, is that your body is just more like hyper aware. So let's say you're making bacon. This is what happens at my house. When Meek makes bacon in the oven, right?
Making bacon, that's not a euphemism, is it? That would be like in England, sounds like making bacon would be like making money.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about knocking boots.
Peas,
no,
actually.
we're not knocking boots, and we're not making bacon.
Right.
Literally, the breakfast food, bacon, okay?
Right. Okay.
He's doing it in the oven.
I am interested, and I am listening, by the way, so keep going. I am interested. Go on. So making bacon.
So you're literally making legitimately food bacon. In the oven, every time he does that, our smoke detectors in our house go off. Beep, 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 right? The smoke detectors are going off. Something with a little bit of the grease burning or whatever, the house thinks it's on fire. Okay, so we have to open the doors and use the dish towel to fan it out, right? When we make toast normally in our house, the smoke detector does not go off. My analogy, without having to do the whole explain the bacon show, you kind of blew my analogy a little bit there, Tim, but okay. But the idea is that now your body, when you're making toast in the morning, not burning your toast, but just making normal toast, your smoke detector goes off. What happens in your body is the smoke detectors, the detectors are so
And that's
sensitive.
just stress, then I'm assuming. Your stress
That's-
response.
That's the depletion of your hormones, which buffer and help everything from your joints to your metabolism to your brain to everything. My estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are all helping me with that. So as it's sputtering and spurting and is all crazy, we don't feel well, right? And in the same sense, our systems are shifting. So your metabolism is getting more inflexible. So you literally, the metabolism that you had in your 20s and 30s that you knew how to manage and deal with the number of macros and the number of calories you're putting in and what you did the 7 other times to take the 10, 15, 20 pounds off, literally is not going to work. Literally, because your whole metabolic system has become different, changed, shifted. Same thing with your nervous system. It's just more heightened. And so the same level of stress that you would just re-regulate or deal with, and it's not because we're weaker, it's literally just because our chemistry is more hypervigilant. And so that's the menopause part of the nervous system piece of it, is that we are just more sensitive to all the things, from a look from your significant other to a sale in business to a kiddo that is unhappy. Like, all of that responds in a heightened way in our bodies or in our nervous system. So that just is automatically happening, not to mention the fact that that women, as we get older, we have more responsibilities. When you have littler kids, you have littler worries. When you have bigger kids, you have bigger worries. Like, I thought that it'd get easier. It's heads up,
Oh, your
spoiler alert.
kids now, Heather Meek.
Okay, we're literally a month away from Jacob being 24, 23, 24, 23, 24. Hannah, in a week from now, is going to be 21. And then
Which is a
Madeline,
big deal in America, isn't it?
oh,
21.
oh yeah, we get to go out and, just legal to drink. And so Madeline, our youngest, is 15 and a half. And in the US, she's a 10th grader in high school. So, that's the type of age category also of women that I work with, is that they either have emerging young adults or kids that are 20s and 30s, right? They're out of the house. Like there's just a whole different show of concerns and worries that come with that. Parenting is a whole thing in itself, but women have greater responsibilities, and we are also, this is a big piece, so much further away from our original knowing of who we are. So many of the women that when I meet them, they're coming to me because they don't feel good in their own skin. They're either tired of shit, or their pants don't fit, or they're older and they're like, I'm hearing the news and they're saying I need to lift weights because my bone density is osteopenic, right? And so I need to figure out how to lift, and I've never lifted because I was a real estate agent and it poured into my life, or I was a teacher and I didn't have any time because teachers get up early, they put that mask on and pump out that energy all day long, and then they come home and they still have paperwork to do, and they're getting paid crap to do it. And now being a teacher is a whole different ballgame. I have teachers, right? And it's difficult. The kids have changed. It's really, really hard. So that's a whole other thing. But the stress is built, but your system is that much more sensitive. And so how do we, when we're constantly being pulled into the sympathetic, if you as a woman, as a human, and for men too, if you don't know how to recognize that in yourself, and then know how to shift out of it so that you can give yourself a few minutes or a bit of time each day, re-regulating and truly coming into the parasympathetic, what I always say is, you can be doing
interesting.
Yeah, and what I always say to my ladies, I said, if you don't know how to do that, because what happens for a lot of ladies is they're like, oh, I'm not stressed. I'm not that stressed. My life is good, because their life is good, and but they still feel like shit, right? So they're saying to me, because they don't want to say that their life is terrible, because nobody comes to me like super depressed or Velcroed to their bed, or they can't get out for days. Like they're coming to me, they just don't feel right. Something's not right, and the weight's coming on, but they think they're not stressed. But what's happening is my chin is the line of sympathetic and then parasympathetic, they're coming from here and going to here. They are actually never getting into the parasympathetic.
The reason I ask, this seems really interesting compared to when I was a personal trainer. I'll be honest, like I like listening to what like you talk about. I find it really interesting. And I just remember back in the day, like I was bored. I was really bored. I was learning new stuff and trying to sort of incorporate it. But then now I hear this stuff, and I've obviously spoke to a few people on this podcast. It just seems so much more interesting. Like, and actually like working some stuff that's a little bit more, what would be the word? Not necessarily complicated, but
complex,
yeah,
intimate, deep. That's my jam. That's what I love.
What's some stuff you do with clients that they wouldn't expect? There you go. I'm curious about that. Is there any stuff that you get them to do they were like, Heather Meek, I didn't think I'd be doing this?
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of the emotion code. So I've sent them to emotion code therapists where they can release some deep emotions. That's kind of a woo-woo thing that would be way out there. That's not something every client does. That would be, a handful of suggestions. That's kind of like a way out there one. On the regular, I am really working with them to pay attention to when they are in the rev, which I call it the rev, which is the sympathetic, the ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. They're just going. They're not paying attention to anything below the neck, pretty much, right? They're living in their head. I want to know what that is and when that happens so that we can have a conversation around it in a coaching session or over a text where I can voice message them back in real time so that
just bringing awareness to it.
for sure awareness to it, because some of them come and they're not aware, right?
Yes.
And you don't have to be sympathetic or parasympathetic. You don't have to be in the parasympathetic all the time, like you're like some Zen yogi, right? Like that isn't even my avatar. They're high achieving women that have.
Do you get to do meditation? Do you get pushback? Do you do breath work? Do you get pushback?
Tons of pushback on both of those, right? Like but that's part of it, right? So we do meditation in whatever works for them, right? So it can be a meditative walk. It can be meditating in like I just need you to take a bath 2 nights a week, or what do you like to do? Maybe they just like to be in the kitchen and cook. So chopping vegetables, but let's just do it without the TV on, or without a podcast in our ears, or without our phone near us where you feel like you have to respond to a text or an email or something. Once they can feel the difference, they start to turn and look and be like, oh, how can I do this for myself? Because that's just the first lesson, is you get to control that. You can notice when you're dysregulated and not beat yourself up about it, right? Like, oh my gosh, I did it again. I'm in the toilet swirl and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, just tell me that it happened. And then let's talk about what the difference is. Because until we can start to notice that, it's kind of like, why are we talking about what you should do for your glutes, right? Like so with me, I come in and I help them with their food out of the gates. Literally, I either give them what to eat, or I help them, fix whatever they have currently going on, because it's usually not terrible. We just tweak a few things or whatever, and I get them a workout. And I say, this is what's going to work for you. The other thing I find a lot of women doing is that they're overdoing it.
Yeah,
they're going to these like classes all the time.
I'm doing and I don't know if this resonates with you. I'm helping one of the guys at the moment, like create a menopause offer. And obviously, as a marketer, we know that what you position for something, you position against something. And
right.
Shout out to Sarah. And Sarah's doing similar avatar, and she came up with like a sculpt 30 for like we're playing around with like some mechanisms. I was like, I don't know, there was something in me. I was like, by the way, I never would have said this to any of our clients as a fit pro with the, improving their marketing. And I was like, here's what I think we should do. We position exactly against what your initial idea was. By the way, she was looking at me like, oh, bloody hell, Tim. Because she had created a similar age, we're sort of talking similar. So she's working with women that are her same age. And I find this really fascinating, because I was like, I think we should position against she sent a lead magnet out 3 months ago. So it did its job. It was really fantastic. I was like, I think we should position against what your lead magnet was. And obviously people are like, oh, would people not notice? I'm like, they don't remember. It's like, we should be positioning against sculpt and body pump and aerobics. It's like, we should actually be, and I never would have said this 5 years ago even. I was like, right, we're going to position your mechanism as muscle. And I was like, look, you might not want to do this because you might think that this is too much. And a lot of our clients are like women in their late 40s, 50s. Like, and if you go to my gyms now, I find it really interesting. You go to gym. When I went to, we didn't go to gyms when I was 18. You might buy some weights from Argos and, do it in your garden. People just didn't go to gyms when you were like 18. In Portugal, you're allowed to train in the gym, I think from it's either 15 or 16. And there's like, it used to be at one point, there'd be a bunch of like lads in there training. And it's just like a bunch of girls that, like, I don't know how old they are, 16, 17 sort of thing. They're all sitting there lifting fucking weights. And I'm like, this would none of my friends would have even dreamed of picking a weight up when we were younger. A lot of my friends didn't train or exercise because we were seemingly doing other things. And it seems now children don't do the naughty things that we were doing, and they're spending all their money on training in the gym and eating protein as opposed to going out. And I was like, let's position this, let's call it like, and we've played around. I was like, what about this metabolic muscle? And she's like, I was like, look, you don't have to go with this, but it's different, it's brave. You're telling these clients that are this is new. They're not like 20-year-olds. They've not been doing, like, basically going to tell them this is good marketing. It's like everything that they've done up till now is the wrong thing to do. They need to understand, and as I even say, look, we can be a bit nuanced with the way of talking about this, like whether we talk about build muscle or build lean muscle or what. It's like, but actually, because when I was asking her what does she do with them, she goes, we need to make sure that we're actually like building some muscle. I was like, well, that's new. This is not what was said 6 years ago. And I was having so much fun with this. I was like, this is so good. Like, right, let's just so she's got 3 pillars, and one of them is exercise. And I'm like, do you want to do it? It's like, look, this is going to take courage, but there's so much fun in that part of the marketing. There's a lot of
clarity. It's simple.
Clarity, because and important because these people need this. But 5 years ago, Heather, if you had said that to me, I'd have been like, nah, that's not a good idea. Like, there's so many misconceptions. I think it's really positive. I think it's really positive that it's not even a gender thing, to be honest, but obviously it's more important because boys, men, when we train, we're just dumb as shit. We just go in, look at probably doing bicep curls and bench press. Like, that's what we do, like 5 days a week, bench press and bicep curls. But now I'm seeing like 16, 17-year-old girls in the gym, like squatting, lifting weights and stuff like that. So like to you sort of said it, like people are coming to you and saying, I need to lift weights. Like, that's very different, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it's literally a longevity thing. And because women don't come to me, they want to lose weight, but they want to lose, they're kind of at this place when you get to 50, you're like, I could give 2 shits if you think that I'm, you know, an Instagram influencer in my bikini or whatever, because we've been beat up. We've tried to lose the weight and it doesn't work. So we're kind of in this, like, I'm going to be a tankini or a 1-piece with a skirt on bathing suit lady for the rest of my life. Like, women will come to me and say, I want to lose like 20 pounds. And I was like, okay, what would be like the big goal? What would be the ultimate? And they're like, well, I really need to lose 70, but I'd be just happy with 20. And we've heard that forever. I've heard that since 1998, right? But what's different, I see now, is that when we're older, 40s, 50s, 60s, it's so different because we have effing tried it and we've just, like, even it doesn't work, and so then they get defeated and they're scared to even
you get buy-in when you're telling them to like actually lift weights, not like lift pink ones, but actually someone wrote a post not long ago and I was like, I can't remember who it was, I thought it was really clever. It's like, if your weights are pink as a woman, you need to, and then I can't remember what the rest of it was. I was just like, that's so cool, like what a good piece of marketing. Because it's true, it's like, pick up something heavy. But I think 5 years ago, I don't know if you agree with this, I think 5 years ago you might have got more pushback from normies.
Let me think about that. 5 years ago.
But then that's not true because all of our clients would have been trained by us with weights. I just think it's because
that's the differentiator, right? Like, if I was 5 years ago in the gym, when you're trying to get lots of people into classes, and you can't have 30 women of age 45 to 65 running around with 55-pound dumbbells to do deadlifts with, right? Properly. Like, I taught an amazing strength class that I didn't stand up there and, you know, do the thing in front of the mirror. I was walking around the room. I had them in circuits. I had them walking around and I was literally coaching them. I was touching them. I was talking to them as I was moving around the room because I could see the form. I'm a personal trainer in a group fitness studio, right? But then they could go heavier. They could do different things, but 90% of it wasn't set up that way, right? And so in a gym setting, it feels a little bit different sometimes, where what I've known for the last 6 years in the Best You coaching is I'm talking to her. And so the pushback that I would get is only in, they've hired me because they want to change. They want to have a transformation, right? And so they're willing to do it, but I can't make them wheelchair sore, right? And a lot of them have never either had real personal training. They've been to classes or they've done things, online with, iFit or something like that, right? And so they've never had somebody really like help them with their body. And I do that over a screen. It's possible. Some people think that's crazy, and you and I both know that's so doable. But they have to build their confidence first.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
one, they're not going to be so sore that they can't function. Two, that they're not going to get injured, right? And three, it's the same thing that guys talk about, where they're like, I got in the gym, and then I started putting more plates on, and I just got addicted.
It's this impression of men and how men
It's just
speak.
a,
Just a little bit
yeah,
of a like that. Go on, keep
and then we put some plates on. Yeah,
Matt Meek. Is that Matt Meek?
but it's not Matt Meek. Matt Meek is like, I do not want to
Or
go to that
Jacob
gym.
now. Jacob now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jake. So women are liking how they feel because they feel strong and they feel tight, and so that part of it they get addicted to, and then we can go heavy. But it goes back to the same principles we've always taught: technique and form. If you have a disastrous reverse lunge, you maybe should be holding the pink dumbbells for a little bit, right? But get them to a space where they feel confident in themselves and in their home workout or their gym workout, because I have both, right? I have clients that have personal trainers at the gym that I used to work at, right? Like, that's not the issue. The issue is we need a team of people, and we need to help her in whatever she needs help with, her little bridges, right? So my favorite part is getting them help with their hormones, getting them help maybe with a GLP-1, getting them help with their thyroid, giving like stuff that's happening on the inside where you got to find a physician. It's a disaster out there. It's horrible. And I lived it. I went to a place that I was referred to from a trusted friend who had an amazing experience, and I went to it. It has women's in the name of it. Women's blah, 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 right? In this community. And I went there to get help because I'm not drawing my own blood. I'm not doing my own blood interpretations. I'm not doing my own Dutch tests with my own interpretations. I need somebody to help me with that and just guide me a little bit, right, on what's happening with my perimenopausal chaos. So I went there and I left. I've told this story a million times, but I walked out of there with a bill for testing that was going to be between $800 and $1,200. That I was like, I don't have this to just get my testing done, to come back and pay you for an interpretation, to pay you for then whatever I'm going to take or use to help me. I don't even have, like, what? I sat in my Suburban in the parking lot of this clinic and bawled my eyes out. I talked into a voicemail of my friend who's a registered dietitian at a hospital, and I talked into her voicemail for like 7 minutes. And she called me back later that night and she said, I'm so sorry this happened to you. And that's the resilience piece, is that this is super common to women. I get messages every day from people on the internet, Instagram and Facebook, saying, my doctor said my labs are normal and I feel like shit. I'm like, I know, right? Or I went to my doctor and she's like, well, you're too old for hormone therapy. That's not necessarily true, right? And so they just keep hitting this. My biggest irritation is when your physician says to you, this isn't for you because of whatever, breast cancer risk, which is not true, the blood clotting risk, which doesn't have to be true. There's some populations that we need to be careful with that. But there are solutions, but they stop talking because they don't know anymore. They don't know any more information than that. And so what I want for women is I want them to find a practitioner that can walk with them. And people don't even know it exists. My practitioner that I see, I have, like, not texting, but I have portal access to her, and she responds to me within 24 hours. She wants to hear what's going on. She wants to know if I wake up with a headache. If you wake up with a headache, if any woman wakes up with a headache, if she's waking up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., if she's falling asleep in the middle of the afternoon because she literally feels like she needs a nap, or she has to medicate herself with caffeine, which she knows isn't a good idea, but she can't get through the rest of her workday, if she's having hot flashes, if she has zero libido, if your hair is falling out, any weight gain that doesn't go away, any of these things, you need some hormone support, or you need some metabolic support, or you need some nervous system support.
Heather Meek, where can
people... Did I get on my soapbox so I gotta calm down?
I love it. I love listening. I love it. I think it's really good. I love seeing people excited about what they do. Like, it really means, like, for me, it's like, I just remember when I was bored out of my mind in this industry that I loved, and I was bored out of my mind, and I was like, I would never have, when I first started, I would have taught like you just taught there about fitness, because I was just fascinated by it. Like, I really enjoyed it. I loved doing it. But then at some point I was just like, I'm just bored of this. Like, I'm bored of it. I like my clients and that, but no, I really like listening. Heather, Where can this is what they do at the end of podcast, isn't it? They ask people
Where
where
can
can
people
people
find
find out.
you? Yeah. Um, I have a website that can tell you more about what I do, and you can
We'll put it all in the show notes.
in the show notes. Yeah, if you are a fit pro and kind of want to know like what does she offer and what's all there, or if you're a potential client, somebody that would be interested in having this conversation about whole woman coaching and walking alongside you for not just your fitness, but your fitness and these other things. The website is okay. It's good. It's a great website. It'll tell you a ton of
Which is your
information.
favorite social
But
channel?
Instagram, it's Heather Meek Official.
We'll
Super
put it
easy,
in.
just my first and last name. There's no S, there's not Meeks, just one, it's just me. Heather Meek Official. And you can
YouTube?
find that on Instagram. What?
Do you have a YouTube?
I have a YouTube, but it's client facing, so it's not public. But
Do
yeah,
you have a podcast?
I need to have a podcast. I'm
You
ready.
do have a Meek. I mean, you do. You really should have a podcast.
I
You
know.
really should.
You know, me live is the best, right? So
Will I get an invite if you have a podcast?
yeah, yes,
All right, all right.
yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Heather. All right, guys, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for listening. And yeah, we'll put all the details in the show notes. See you soon, Heather.
Bye. See you soon.